Don't start drama, she hissed, right as another man's hand slid higher up her thigh like he owned her. That was the moment everything inside me tilted, like a floor shifting under my feet. Later, people would ask me when the relationship really ended, expecting me to point at the cheating, or the yelling, or the lies. But no, this was the crack that became the fracture. The quiet moment when somebody shows you exactly who they are, and you finally stop pretending not to see it. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to Family Tales by Ethan so you never miss out on these fascinating true stories. And let us know in the comments what you're watching today. My name's Will, I'm 29, and until recently I was the kind of man who believed calm was the same thing as stability. My ex, Lena, 27, knew that about me, knew how I hated fights, how I tried to keep the peace, how I always absorbed the hit first so the night wouldn't spiral. That was my fatal flaw, mistaking passiveness for patience, mistaking her chaos for passion, mistaking her contempt for confidence. People say every relationship has a golden period, a stretch where the world seems sharpened and warm. Ours used to. I won't lie. When Lena walked into a room, conversations shifted. She was magnetic, the kind of woman who needed eyes on her to feel real. Early on, all those eyes had been mine. She liked that. I liked that. But somewhere along the way, slowly, almost elegantly, her attention drifted outward. Mine kept circling back to her, and the imbalance grew like a hairline crack running through glass. I work in logistics management. Not glamorous. Not the kind of job that fills Instagram feeds with rooftop skylines and craft cocktails. But that unspectacular job paid for the downtown apartment Lena bragged about, the car she borrowed more than I did, and the student loans she swore she'd totally handle once the marketing clients roll in. When those clients didn't come, I covered the gaps, because that's what you do when you think you're building a future with someone. The first signs weren't explosive. They rarely are. They came as small things. Jokes made at my expense in front of strangers, her turning her phone face down when I walked by, nights she didn't text until 2 a.m. and blamed the battery. And every time I asked, she'd pull out the same tired script. You're too insecure, Will. Stop acting old. Why do you always assume the worst? I'd swallow it because I thought real love required enduring discomfort. That was my mistake, teaching someone how little I required to stay. Things changed when she joined her new PR firm. Suddenly she had a crowd, loud, shiny people who lived for nightlife and validation. Among them was Mark, the so-called funny guy from accounting. She called him the group dad, which should have been my first clue she was lying. Real dads don't flirt with 27-year-olds in backless dresses. That Friday, she insisted I come out with them. Not asked, insisted. You have to come, she said, painting her lips a shade too bold for the occasion. Everyone thinks you're imaginary. She wore a dress she hadn't worn since a fancy anniversary dinner I paid for. It was short, backless, loud. It felt like she was trying to announce something. Maybe her independence, maybe her availability, maybe both. At the bar, she didn't even introduce me. She slid into the booth directly beside Mark, leaving me to drag over a stool like an afterthought. Mark didn't shake my hand, didn't nod, didn't acknowledge me beyond. So this is the serious boyfriend? The tax guy. Lena laughed the hardest. A little too hard. I tried to play it cool. Ordered a bourbon. Watched their body language. Watched him lean into her space and whisper things that made her giggle. Watched her let him. But the real moment, the one that hollowed me out, came when I returned from the bathroom. They didn't see me. Approach. I was behind them, standing there long enough to understand it wasn't a trick of the angle. Mark's hand was high on her thigh. Not brushing. Resting. Claiming. His thumb was stroking the fabric like he was testing boundaries he already knew she wouldn't enforce. And she wasn't stopping him. She simply existed in it, as if my presence, my years, my sacrifices were all optional accessories she could put on or take off depending on who was watching. I felt the bar noise drop out around me. Lena, I said quietly, tell him to move his hand. Her head whipped around, eyes flashing with annoyance, not guilt. It was the annoyance of a woman whose fun had just been interrupted by the man paying her rent. Oh my God, Will, she groaned loudly for her audience. He's just touchy when he's drunk. Stop starting drama. Drama. That word would echo in my skull for months. She said it like it was a weapon. She said it like my dignity was an inconvenience. Mark smirked, squeezing her thigh slightly, like he wanted to see how much he could get away with. Relax, bro. I realized then that she expected me to sit down quietly and accept it. Like always. She thought I'd bite my tongue, drink my bourbon, and go home with her later, pretending nothing happened. But something snapped. Or maybe something finally stopped snapping. You're right, I said. No drama. I downed the rest of my drink, placed $100 on the table, and walked out without looking back. The night air felt cold, clean, almost surgical. I wasn't angry. Anger requires attachment. What I felt was clarity. By the time she realized I wasn't returning, I was halfway through packing her entire life into suitcases. And when she called asking where I'd gone, I told her the truth. Home. To pack your stuff? When I got back to the apartment, the silence felt almost ceremonial, like the kind that fills a church after a funeral. Not grief exactly, but something final, something raw and strangely dignified. Lena's perfume still hung faintly in the living room, layered into the fabric of the couch, the curtains, even the air vent near the door. It used to comfort me. Tonight, it felt like residue from a life I no longer recognized. I didn't slam anything or mutter to myself like someone spiraling. Instead, I slipped into the mindset I relied on at work whenever a supply chain collapsed. Assess, contain, remove obstacles, reroute. Logistics mode. It was almost frightening how easily my brain shifted into it. The closet door creaked when I opened it. Inside were the suitcases I bought last year for a trip to Italy Lena swore she had dreamed about forever. I had paid for everything. Hotel, flights, the restaurants she picked based on Instagram photos. She never posted a single picture of me from that trip. At the time, I told myself she simply liked aesthetic shots better than couple photos. Now I understood better. Some people treat relationships like props, not partnerships. I pulled the suitcases onto the bed and opened them. Zippers always sound louder in an empty room. I packed calmly, methodically, her dresses folded, her shoes paired, her skincare products scooped into a duffel bag, her chargers, books, jewelry dish, all sorted into neat boxes. I wasn't angry. Anger makes you messy. What I felt was clean, precise. Like I was finally removing a splinter I pretended I couldn't feel. By midnight, everything she owned fit into 3 suitcases, 2 duffel bags, and a cardboard box. When I carried them into the hallway, the elevator lights reflected off the suitcase handles like dull silver. I stacked everything neatly against the wall, the way a hotel might prepare luggage for pickup. I even made sure the smaller bag sat on top, so she wouldn't hurt her back bending for it. Funny how courtesy survives even after love doesn't. Back inside, I took my key off the ring. Hers too. I set them both on the counter, then locked the deadbolt from the inside, the kind you can't open with a key. And then I sat on the couch, opened a beer, and waited. At 12:20 a.m., her first call came. I watched the screen light the room. I let it ring until it died. Then again, and again. Eventually, I picked up. Her voice was sharp, slightly slurred. Where the hell did you go? I told you, I said calmly. I went home to pack your stuff. The silence on her end snapped for a beat, like her mind short-circuited before disbelief crashed in. You what? I could picture her expression, wide eyes, parted lips, that blend of confusion and outrage she used when reality didn't fit the world she curated in her head. You're such a child, she yelled. You embarrassed me. Everyone at the table was laughing at how insecure you looked. Then it's good I'm not coming back, I said. Wouldn't want to ruin the show. She didn't like that. She switched tactics fast. Well, fine. Come pick me up. I'm freezing. No, I answered. The shortness of that word stunned her more than everything else. I could hear it. Her breath pausing, her ego tripping on the unexpected refusal. What do you mean, no? You're my ride. No. Mark can drive you. You seemed comfortable with him. She sputtered, her voice cracking. Stop being dramatic. Drama. I repeated. I'm removing drama. She went quiet for a second, then laughed chaotically, the kind of laugh meant to cover panic. Whatever. I'll get an Uber. And when I get home, you're sleeping on the couch. You're not coming home, Lena. What? You don't live here anymore. I told her about the bags in the hallway, the neatly packed suitcases, the key I removed from her ring, the lease she wasn't on. Her voice cracked then, really cracked, as the implications landed. Her anger peeled away, revealing the fear beneath it. You can't do that, she cried. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know, I said. Mark's couch. He seemed very accommodating. And I hung up. Then I blocked her number. I thought that would be the end of it. But people like Lena don't let their stage go dark without a final performance. At 3:15 a.m., the elevator dinged. Silence. Then the frantic rustling, her discovering the bags. Then the banging. She pounded on the door with both fists. I sat there in the dark, heart steady, listening like someone studying weather patterns. Will, open the door. This isn't funny. Then, you're insane. Then, I'm sorry, okay? Please just open the door. Please. Then, I hate you. Then, someone stole my charger. I need my charger. The cycle of rage, pleading, bargaining, and insults lasted 20 minutes. It was the deepest, purest concentration of who she actually was. A storm with no direction, a fire with no heat, a woman who only knew how to take, not stay. Finally, another voice appeared, male, muffled, irritated. Mark. Come on, babe. Forget him. Let's go. My shoes, she sobbed. He has my shoes. We'll get them later. The elevator dinged. Silence. I didn't sleep right away. I sat there, letting the quiet settle, letting the last pieces of her fade. The next few days felt like stepping into a different version of my own life. A quieter one. A steadier one. I changed the locks the next morning. Rearranged the furniture. Deep cleaned every corner until the apartment smelled like lemon polish and fresh air instead of tension and perfume. I didn't post anything online. I didn't respond to her smear campaign. According to screenshots a friend sent me, she had already started painting herself as a victim of emotional abuse, claiming I'd thrown her onto the street. She even posted crying selfies with vague quotes about escaping toxicity. I didn't correct her. You don't argue with fiction. Life improved almost immediately. My bank account stopped bleeding. My evenings stopped being hostage situations where I tiptoed around her moods. I went back to the gym, ate better, slept deeper. Everyone says leaving someone is painful. They never talk about the relief. 2 months passed quietly. Then one night, my buddy Dave slid his phone across the bar. You want an update or not? I hesitated, then nodded. Elena and Mark. Facebook official. Except Lena didn't look like the glowing woman in her photos. She looked tired, dull, sitting on a stained couch in what looked like a frat house living room. Pizza boxes stacked behind her. A cheap tapestry hanging crookedly on the wall. Dave sighed. She lost her PR job. He cheats on her. They fight constantly. She's sleeping on a mattress on his floor. I looked at the photo for a long moment. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel pity. I felt nothing. Like looking at debris washed up on a shore that wasn't mine anymore. Dave said, she's going to reach out eventually. I only nodded, because I knew he was right. And when she did, the collapse would be complete. 6 months passed before the silence finally cracked. It was a Tuesday, one of those strangely calm afternoons where nothing feels urgent. I had just finished a long meeting and was heading to the gym when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Normally, I ignore those, but that day I was expecting a call from a contractor about a warehouse inspection. So I answered. This is Will. There was a pause. A small, trembling inhale. Will, it's me. Lena. Her voice sounded smaller than I remembered. Thinner. Like someone trying to hold themselves together with both hands. I didn't think you'd pick up, she said. I didn't know it was you. Another pause. One that stretched long enough for me to imagine her standing somewhere alone, clutching her phone like a lifeline. I need to talk to you. Just for 5 minutes. I'm not asking for anything. I just need clarity. Part of me wanted to hang up. Every self-help forum, every friend with common sense would tell me to hang up. But in logistics, you don't ignore a distress call. Not until you know whether the problem threatens your operation. And truthfully, some part of me wanted to see the damage. Like a man inspecting a wreck he survived. I'm leaving the gym in 20 minutes, I said. If you want to talk, meet me in the parking lot. I'm not getting coffee. I'm not sitting down. Say what you need to say there. She agreed immediately. Too quickly. When I stepped outside after my workout, the sun was low enough to cast long shadows across the asphalt. My new car, a charcoal gray coupe I'd been eyeing for years, looked almost sharp under the light. I traded the practical sedan I used to drive with her for this one the moment the lease was up. It felt like a declaration of sorts. I was allowed to want things for myself now. Lena was waiting near a beat-up Honda Civic parked 2 spots over. The contrast between us almost hurt to look at. I had put on muscle, My clothes fit well. I looked like someone climbing. She looked like someone falling. Her hair, once meticulously maintained, had grown out awkwardly, her roots dark against the fading blonde. She had on an oversized hoodie that swallowed her frame, and her eyes were puffy in that tired way people get when sleep becomes optional instead of essential. When she saw me, her mouth parted slightly. "Wow, you look incredible. You look tired," I replied, not unkindly. Just honestly. She let out a jagged, humorless breath. "It's been a rough couple months." I nodded once. I heard about Mark. A lie. I hadn't heard details, just the gist. But her flinch told me everything anyway. "He's a sociopath," she blurted. "You were right about everything. He cheated on me. With the bartender from that same bar. Can you believe that?" "Yeah," I said. "I can." Her face crumpled immediately, and the tears came fast. Ugly, quiet ones that shook her shoulders. "I was so stupid," she whispered. "I got caught up in the attention. I don't know what I thought. But I miss you. I miss us. I miss my best friend." She took a small step closer, hands trembling at her sides. "I'm staying at my mom's now. I left him. I'm done with that life. I'm ready to be serious again. To be the woman you wanted. I swear." I waited. I searched myself for something. Anger, longing, pity, resentment. Anything that might anchor me to her again. There was nothing. It felt like looking at a stranger wearing the memory of someone I used to know. "You're not ready to be serious, Lena," I said, opening my car door. "You're just broke." Her jaw fell open. The insult hit her like a slap. "That's not fair," she choked. "I love you." "Do you?" I asked gently. "Because you didn't love me when you laughed at me in front of a table full of strangers. You didn't love me when you let another man put his hand up your dress. You didn't love me when you smeared my name all over social media. You loved what I did for you." She was crying harder now, messy, uneven sobs. "People make mistakes," she whispered. "Buying the wrong brand of milk is a mistake," I said. "Humiliating your partner is a character trait." She shook her head, almost violently. "Please, just one drink. One conversation. Let me explain. Let me fix it. I can change. I swear." She reached for my arm. Her grip was weak, cold, desperate. A small part of me wondered if she even realized how symbolic that was, the way she clung only after she fell. "You told me that night," I said softly, "that I was embarrassing, that I caused drama." "I didn't mean it," she pleaded. "Intent doesn't matter," I replied. "Impact does." She blinked at me, confused, broken. "I have a peaceful life now," I continued. "I come home to quiet. I wake up without tension. I don't have to wonder who's texting you at 1 a.m. I don't have to check the mirror to see if I look cool enough to keep your attention. I optimized my life, Lena, and there isn't space in the inventory for you." She stared at me, betrayal and disbelief twisting her expression. "You're an asshole," she spat. "Maybe," I said, stepping into my car. "But I'm a happy one." As I started the engine, she shouted, "You'll never find anyone like me." I rolled the window down halfway. "You're right," I said calmly. "And thank God for that." I put the car in reverse. In the rearview mirror, she stood frozen in the gray lot, arms limp at her sides, tears streaking her face. She looked impossibly small, like a forgotten coat left in the rain. I didn't wait for her to say anything else. Some endings don't need words. The road ahead was open, clean, quiet, and for the first time in a long time mine.